Well, since you forgot your bell, left it at the office, or is it behind all that stuff? We got to use this bell.
How heavy is that? Keep holding it.
No, I can't. It's too heavy. Hello, Mr. Jason.
Hello, Mr. Craig.
So, have you seen pictures of this office? It looks like the Alamo. So, a while back, I bought this giant bell because there's a bell tower. I had to put it up in there, but it's impossible. I got the guy. He's like, I don't know how to put a bell. So,
Now you got a giant cast iron bell on the floor.
we don't have a bell, but guess who we do have?
Oh, can you tell me, Mr. Craig?
I sure can. We have Rudy, Surovick, Mailin, not Flailin and Failin. Hi, Tailin, the Smoov Sailin.
Smooth sailing, Mr. Craig. Let's do.
Get it going.
Touchdown.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes Podcast.
Boom. Rudy,
My whole staff
What's
just
going on, guys?
how are you doing, man?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Rudy,
So we ask everybody.
Surovick.
Yeah, let's dive right in. We ask everybody, what was your first concert? I want to go way back. I want like a Barney story or something.
Barney.
Ooh, STP. So, and it was a great concert. Started 2 hours late as someone overdosed on the plane. So it was awesome. It was awesome. So it was in our little hometown, Erie, Pennsylvania.
That's awesome. What tour?
I have no idea. I was like 15, 16. I am not a music buff by any means. My boys rag on me all the time because my favorite band is Train. Pat Monahan's from Erie, Pennsylvania as well.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome. I love Train.
yeah, it's a good band. So
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And for the millennials that are listening, STP is Stone Temple Pilots. Look them up.
I bought a counterfeit shirt for $10 on the street. It was great. Hey,
huge win.
yeah,
Huge
Yeah.
win.
it was awesome.
Those concert T-shirts have remained at about $30 for a very long time.
Yeah,
Right.
Money was tight back then. So
One of the bands I played in back in the 90s we opened for STP Vertical Horizon in 9 days on the 4 tour, and in Texas. I don't even know where in Texas. We drove. It was so much heat. It was like during the summertime. We drove straight shot from California to Texas in our underwear because the van didn't have AC. Played the show and then drove back because we had to play. I mean,
Did you drive back in your underwear?
you know what is right after the show? So Vertical Horizon in 9 days. Yeah. It was right after the show. So we drove back that night. So maybe in the underwear, maybe,
Good.
but it wasn't that hot at night. Well, to compare with the day.
Well, Rudy, you're a power agent, and we'd love to hear how'd you get to where you are with the company you're with, and you know who is Rudy?
yeah, so
Rudy's story.
well, I got the ND hat on because I figured
Look at that.
Yes.
like bring back memories from the movie. So, but true story. Back in high school, I was a below average athlete, but I started every basketball game my senior year, and there was nothing better than hearing people just chant Rudy, Rudy, Rudy. So, but fast forward, I moved I worked for an independent agency for I think 13 years. I got into computer consulting right out of college, had a degree in MIS. Did that for about a year or so. The guy I was working for, doing consulting a lot, and it was one of our clients, offered me a job in insurance. I said, I have no idea what it is. Read the book on the plane for a honeymoon. Wife was excited about that, and he offered me a job. So I ended up going in insurance, started doing commercial insurance sales, did that for about, 4 or 5 years, and got promoted to sales manager. I managed our New York operations. We had like 5 or 6 offices, Western New York, Buffalo, that area. And then we also had 5 or 6 agencies in Pennsylvania that I helped out manage on the producer side. So huge, huge operation, like 85 million in premium when I left. Great relationship with the guys there. I still visit the guys all the time. And but I had a midlife crisis, told my wife I wanted to buy an agency, moved from Erie, Pennsylvania to Atlanta, Georgia, packed up at the time our 4 kids, had a bunch of relationships with trucking companies. So everything got loaded into a semi and moved to Atlanta, Georgia. My sister-in-law lived there, so I bought an agency there. First one was just under 3 million in premium when I bought it, and then been with doing the captive gig ever since.
Crazy, man. What ages were your kids at that time?
So I'm trying to remember correctly. So I think it was one, must have been like 1, 4, 7, and 9. I got 5 kids, man. I'm like you. So right now I got a 3, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And when I go to the prescription counter and they ask for the kid's birthday, I go, and they look at me like, I got 5 kids. Just give me a second here. Okay.
Right.
So yeah.
I had the same exact experience getting medication. I couldn't remember my daughter's birthday. I just had her last year and we got so many kids. I couldn't remember the exact date. I mean, I didn't sleep. So
yeah. So we have a picture of, we had all kinds of relationships here in Pennsylvania. And so I had a, semi-loaded, I got that for like $2,000 for them to ship it down for, I had no money at the time, it was like, I sold my house. I was building a house down there. I didn't know if the sale was going to go through. It was just a crazy time in our life. So I have a picture of all of our kids in these giant cardboard box. It was used for plastic, like a plastic manufacturer, and they hold all of different, plastic component parts. But the kids are sitting in there. I'm like, hey, packing up my kids, getting them on the truck. So yeah.
That's awesome. What did your wife think?
So, it was a perfect solution. It was like we were moving right next to my sister-in-law. We're going to be a mile away, but we lived in our own community here in Pennsylvania, forever. And she, when we got there, we made it work. And then, eventually, we spend most of our time in Pennsylvania now. So we go back and forth between Georgia and Pennsylvania, but most of it's in Pennsylvania.
And you're with a captive now, right?
Yes, sir.
So what was that like, the transition?
Believe it or not, the captive portion of it was pretty daunting, because when you go from the independent side, you have access to 70 or 80 carriers. You can put that one customer with, any of your 15 personal lines carrier. You can write everything. You can do everything you want, right? You go to the captive world, it's like you got one guy, right? You got one player. And you're like, well, how am I going to make this work? Yeah. And so for a while there, in 2016, the captive I was with, man, they took massive rate increases in Georgia, and it became a huge, huge issue because I was looking at 25 to 50% rate increases, and my wife's my wife's like, why did we do this? You're
right.
You're
Great
miserable.
Decision,
yeah, she's like, you are absolutely miserable. And, so I always use that, scenario. I said, okay, well, I'm going to make this work. So I got to quote 10 customers to write one. Okay. I used to quote one customer with 10 different carriers. And, I listened to your, recently your gentleman that you had on that did the commercial rater.
Yeah.
I listened to that up. Yeah. So, we had Easy Links and all of the raters back in the day. But at the end of each one of those, there was always one piece of information that was missing. So you had to go back into 2 or 3 carriers. So it was always, you were spending additional amount of time. So, I'd rather have those build up my database, right? So once I did that, and then, we briefly talked, Craig, via message, and I think Jason, we even chatted before. I got in direct mail, and for me, it's been great. Mortgage referrals and direct mail. Our lead product for us is homes. So it all depends on where you're at. You guys know that.
Yeah. Which bait are you going to fish with?
Exactly.
So I would say you're pretty narrow and deep with that lead source, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I mail out for like 12 other agents right now.
Awesome.
And, we have a little sweatshop at the office that we call, so we're basically, and I bought all the equipment, and I don't make very much money off of it, honestly. I just use it to pay for my postage is what I'm doing. I'm not really trying to get rich off of it. And I keep another funny story is I had a guy that worked for me. He left for sports management to go out to Utah. He came back, and at the time I didn't have my ECP, so I just didn't have a spot for him. So he wanted to come work, for the company that we represent. And I got him a job with another agent, but he works out of my office. So his wife works there running my mailroom. He works in my office, not for me, but for another agent. And I'm really big in that, working with other agencies to really try to, pull our resources, because, we all employ like 10 or 11 people, but none of us can really spend the kind of money you need to really market or, find different tactics that actually work without, sharing that cost.
Yep. And I love that because you went in hard on mail, which you don't hear a lot of these days. And I don't think that there's any wrong way, like whatever works in your market, but you went deep on it. I think a lot of people, they dabble in this and that and the other thing. I mean, who knows where your ROI is coming from? And if you're doing 5 different things, I tell everybody this, like if you're doing 5 different things, there's no way to figure out which one's working and which one's not. So it's like causing such a headache.
And when we were in the commercial world, we only did X-dating off of work comp mods. So we pretty much focused on work comp mods, and you could look at different states and you could pull up the work comp mod, figure out the X state, call the prospective client and tell them, hey, look, your mod went up from 0.76 to 1.2. Did your agent tell you you're going to have a 54% rate increase? And they would be like, oh no, they didn't. and that's how we got in the door. So when you can take that and you can bring that over and figure out, okay, well, how does that relate? Well, X dating on homeowners, right? For me, it's like, okay, we go with different companies that supply us data that can get us the X dates, and then we can actually find out, close to when the renewal is. And insurance is 100% timing, right? 100% time.
Yep.
Like you think about it, why does that customer call you? They call you because they had a bad claims experience. They had their rate go up. Their agent's a jerk. You name it. It's all about timing.
Yep. Truth.
So you're able to look at that with that data, know when their homeowners is going to come up. Can you even further slice it and look at whether or not that company's going to have a rate increase? Do you go that far down in the weeds?
So we used to use the data that our region supplied us for rate increases. And then for some reason, our region quit doing that. And I would just basically use our database of current customers that we would just do requoting. And I like to call our requote process selective requoting. Okay. And so what we would do is we would X date based off of when claims were going to fall off, when someone was aging to the perfect age, so we selectively requote based off of coming up. Like our company would be 100% clean. Their company would still be dirty. 2 weeks from now, we might not have the best price, but right now we have the best price before their renewal comes up, right? So when we can time that 100% perfectly, we're going to win.
Yeah. And then,
that's awesome.
But then also it is a numbers game. So to get too narrow and targeted may be counterproductive because you're in the 0.25 to 1% open rate now with mail, right?
Way less than that. I mean,
less.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at, I'm seeing about 0.6% that we're actually getting open rate.
Okay.
Or response rate, more so than open rate. So when you're looking at that numbers, I don't focus on, color or anything on the mail piece. I just do black and white, keep the cost as low as possible, and try to double my output instead of spending a ton of money on the actual mailer.
Yeah. But you went all in. You bought the equipment. You bought I mean, it's awesome. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I also think about it as like, man, if I stop this, I have all the equipment here, and if I stop mail, where am I at, right? And yeah. I think about it all the time. It's like, hey, what happens when the direct mail dries up?
It already did.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, but maybe the direct mail is the new internet 3.0. So yeah, because everybody's buying live transfers, right? Everybody's doing data leads and telemarketing, or, a lot of people are. So what really works? And I looked at it from the standpoint too of, if I had 3 or 4 people just dialing that were licensed and they make $200 a day or $300 a day, what am I really paying them to do? Right. I'm paying someone $20, $25 an hour, $30 an hour, whatever it ends up being, to dial a phone number and hopefully get somebody on the phone.
We were just talking about that on this webinar we just did. And it's like, it's having the right places or the right people in the right places paying the right amount for their value, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Having somebody make $15 an hour to make cold calls is the absolute wrong spot. And in addition, you're burning out a $15 an hour asset, right? Because our staff are our most expensive asset, and it costs, I mean, just the $15 an hour is one thing, but what about all of the training costs associated with interviewing, your time spent, the whole thing, right? It's tens of thousands of dollars. You do not put them on there when there's an alternative, that you can get them for very, very less expensive than that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you look at it from that standpoint too, is that, your work environment. So a lot of people want to come work for me. True story. I recently, last week and a half, I get a text message from a lady that left me. She's having her own issues, needed to work from home 2 or 3 days. I don't offer work from home. I have one individual that works from home. I personally work from home. I know the challenges that happen, and I want you to be at the office. So she called me and said, hey, can I come back to work for you? She said, the job I took isn't what they, told me. I'm making $200 a day. I said, I'm sorry, I just don't have that opportunity right now. If something changes, I'd love for you to come back. Last week, I had to let somebody go because of attendance. The guy, when I'm letting him go, tells me, he said, Rudy, I no lie, he says, this is the best job I've had in 25 years. And I said, hey, he said, you were great. And I said, but you need to be at work, and I can't have this. I said, get your life straightened out, give me a call in a year, and we'll talk again. So just leave the door open, right? Yeah.
Well, and create that reputation too. If you have the reputation of being Darth Vader and creating a crappy culture and you're lifting them up by their neck, nobody wants to be there.
I'm Darth Vader at home. I can't be a Darth Vader at work,
That's true. With 5 of them, you're just constantly.
That's right. It's like, ooh.
A teenager, and what's the youngest?
3. She's actually, she'll be 3 on St. Patrick's Day. So
crazy.
I kind of have a little thing where I told my wife, I was like, man, why did we have a kid on St. Patrick's Day? When she gets older, this is going to be trouble, So
that's true.
Okay.
I didn't even think about it.
So it hasn't always been rainbows and unicorns. What have been some of the really tough things that you've had to navigate through?
And 4-leaf clovers.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. Well, Lucky Charms now does have the unicorns with the 4-leaf clovers, so you got to have that every morning to start your day. So. It is her favorite cereal too. So,
awesome.
But no, I mean, some of the biggest challenges were, moving, 800 miles away. You always have that thing. You go to these training courses, or, you know, the region wants you to go through training, and they want you to bring your list 100. And I go to them and said, hey, I give you a list 100, but there's nobody I can quote in this entire state. I know 2 people. I said, you know, whatever it is, I said, but I tell you what, I'm going to succeed, you know, whatever it is. I said, okay, just fill it out with sales do you need. So, you know, like when you're moved that far away and you start up, there are some challenges, but, you know, that rate increase that, you know, we didn't anticipate, no lie, I was literally selling life insurance policies to pay my mortgage. You know, at that point, you know, we moved, we built a house, and, you know, you guys know how it is with a loan with your agency. It's, I mean, you know, everyone thinks you have a decent sized agency and, you know, life's great. No, I mean, it's really difficult to actually, you know, see it through. And then you get to the point where you see it through and things are starting to go good, and then you decide, hey, I need to scale this up. And when you start scaling things up, you better have, you know, be able to see into that crystal ball what you need, you know, like service people. And you know, you look at it from that standpoint, is that, you know, when you bring somebody on, how do they mesh with everybody? All of that's
so critical.
All of that basically has that impact on you. But my biggest struggles, honestly, were, you know, 2016, having a rate increase, not worrying about, you know, being able to write new business. And looking back at it, it was the best thing that ever happened, because it cleaned my book of a lot of accounts that I probably didn't want. When I took that book over, the retention was 81%. It dropped down to 78% during that period. Ooh. And now we sit at 89%.
Nice.
So, and it's all staff. I mean, it's not me. I mean, I really don't do anything all day, Ron, I'll tell you that. But for the most part, you know, we just looked at it from the standpoint of, you know, we just took a proactive stance with renewals. And we, to this day, we do that as well.
Yeah. And there's always risk jumping at an opportunity, right? You saw the opportunity, you had the vision, and then shit fell apart. And it's like, okay, well, now I have a challenge and I got to figure it out. And when the stakes get raised, where it's like, if I don't sell this, I don't eat, all of a sudden you're at DEFCON 5 and you make it happen. You know,
exactly.
I think some of the darkest times in my business career were when it was like, well, shit, do I eat or you know, what do I do? I mean, you figure it out.
Exactly. Real fast.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep. So I think a lot of agents probably feel like that. We've talked to a lot that feel like that right now. I mean, what are some pieces of advice you just give them specifically going through that? What would you have wanted to hear at that time, now being on the other side?
Well, luckily for me, I mean, I was on the side where I managed 11 locations. I knew what was going on in the insurance. I had that insurance background, right? So at some point, you have to spend money you don't have, right? I mean, Jason, you know that, and Craig, you know that. But you have to time that perfectly, right? So if you're spending money in a time where you're not at the most competitive point for whatever company you represent, you're wasting money. And it doesn't have to be super competitive. You just have to be able to win, 7 or 8% of the time, whatever it may be. But when you're at that moment, you have 2 options. You either have to basically thin out and basically run lean and mean, or you have to basically, I would say, get the marketing down first, right? You get the marketing down, everything else will fall into place. So you have to be able to take that risk to basically spend the money on the marketing when you know that you're competitive.
Sure. And a lot of these cars, I mean, you can use a line of credit, you can use a credit card, whatever. I mean, I prefer the Amex because I get all these points.
Exactly.
But I mean, dude, once you use it and they see you paying this thing, they'll give you unlimited money, you know, like way more than you need for marketing. So, you know, $150,000 limit, you're not spending that, right? Unless you're ad.
Yeah.
So
nobody.
Yeah. Maybe Jay, but the rest of us peons, you know, we can get by on a $25,000-$50,000 thing, and we have 60 days. Like, we have to get clever. I saw somebody post in one of the Facebook groups that I don't know who it was. Some lender is sending out things saying, hey, we'll loan against your TPP. And it's like they were insulted by that. I'm like, what do you mean? That's an opportunity. You can borrow, you can leverage your business to get cash, because that cash in your business is worth nothing. Who cares?
Right. Exactly.
Right. And you know what? If it doesn't work and everything falls apart, it's a business. You're done. Get out. But
100%
I mean, that's
true.
So it's not the end of the world if it fails. Right. But it's the end of the world if you cut expenses and think that that down the road something's going to change, because it's not, right?
Right. And for me too, the other thing that helped out a lot tremendously was the power of the renewal. I mean, you don't really realize it until you start forecasting that renewal and what kind of impact that'll have for your agency, because you can't spend money you don't have, right? Because you're going to have it in 6 months. And any size agency you look at it, it basically, you can make things work. I'm confident, right? One of the things in the captive world that was beneficial for me was, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but if you go in the captive world and you're in one of those bigger cities, what happens when someone moves to your city? They usually decide between one of the three big players, right? And they're not going to Rudy Surovick's insurance agency, because who the hell is Rudy Surovick, right? So if you had a really cool name, maybe it would make a difference, but they're not buying from that name, right? Especially on the personal line side. And on the personal line side, it's very hard to grow very rapidly unless you're marketing tremendously. If you're on the commercial side, it's a different world. You can grow by, making, introductions and things like that, but to grow rapidly in, tenfold or 10x, whatever you want to say, you really have to market.
You have to inject activity into the agency, and whether it's mailers, whether it's leads, whether it's calls, whatever, you've got to do something, because
100%.
Compressing those expenses, it's not enough. Like, oh, I'm going to move to a smaller place. Great. You save $500. Who cares? Right. You need to spend at the level that's going to generate an ROI. And there's lots of proven, you have an equation, right? It's 0.6. You're going to get calls on 0.6. So you can figure out very simply, if I spend 10K and my cost is 50 cents, whatever, I can do it myself. I could call Rudy. I could have him do it, whatever, but you're going to get a return on it. Right?
Exactly. 100%. And you guys know the math. I mean, it ends up, for me, it's $4,000 to $5,000 in spend per salesperson, true salesperson in my agency. That'll generate roughly $30,000 to $40,000 in premium. And you have to know those numbers going into it. And when I opened up Scratch, or I actually purchased smaller than 1.5, got the benefit of going full Scratch in May, I knew I was going to succeed, just based off of the numbers.
Right.
And when you know that, it's a pretty good feeling, right? When you know it.
It's
and
a
you
lot
don't freak
better.
out. You're not freaked out because you don't get the immediate result. The mailer's a couple months, right, to see the result.
It's exactly right. And once you're in it, there's such a long tail on it. People don't realize it. We still have people that, in one of my offices, they walk in 6 months after they receive a mailer and say, hey, here's this mailer quote. We're interested in the quote. And, we can say, oh, that's great. But, we don't really identify that as being 6 months. It's just my staff will say, hey, guess what? Someone came 6 months ago, they got a mailer 6 months ago. And I started putting a picture of my family on there. My wife still doesn't know it, but I put a picture of my family on. Get that sympathy. Man, this guy's got 5 kids. Let's give this guy a call and see if, I think I got better response on it, to tell you the truth.
Rudy and the orphanage.
That's right.
Because you're a real dude. Like a
real person, right?
Yeah. Like you got a family, like it's a huge, and we always say that when in the office, like talk about your story, like the agents, like tell them about your story. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the big brand is the hook, right? It gives some visibility, but then it's got to be differentiated by, who are you?
Yeah. And who are you? And
real people.
What do you offer? What's different, than that guy down the street, and most of the time it's the people you have, right? So if they can call Sally or Timmy or whoever it is and talk to them, and they can get a real life person on the phone that understands what they're going through, they're more likely to buy from you.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of laugh at it because my wife says, well, why don't you still sell? I said, honey, I hired people to do things, right? And one of them is to sell insurance policies. And she goes, well, every day that they don't sell a policy, you're really upset. And I said, well, I understand that. And it's all these metrics, you know, like, you know, you go to bed at night and you know, when you wake up, you're going to look at that metric and say, okay, well, it didn't move that notch enough, right? And then each month that metric resets, right? And then every year that metric resets. And, you know, eventually the metric no longer becomes what's on that computer screen. It becomes your bank account, right? Because ultimately, you know, you're doing that for your family so your kids can go to college or whatever it may be. But, you know, we're all driven by metrics, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. Yep. But also the flip side of it is it's beautiful because it's there. We're not guessing. You don't have to guess.
That's right.
Right? I mean, you don't have to guess. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like if somebody wants to do a mailer, they can ask you. And you could either say yes or no or whatever, but they can get it done. Or you do. I'm sure you would tell somebody how to do it if they wanted, right? Like so,
100%. Yeah.
It doesn't. So it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, the opportunity to have the knowledge to do it is there. Like I do leads, and you know it's telemarketer, producer, sale, right? And I didn't have to reinvent it. Jason was doing it. He spent the $200K to figure out how to do it.
That's right.
So I'm like, hey, look, you know, thank you. And he tells me, right? So it's pick a lane and stay in that lane. You know, 2 months in, I was freaking out. I've talked about it a million times, but I'm here. Here I am spending $15K, and we wrote 5,000 in premium. That doesn't work. Then the next month it's a little bit more. It starts creeping up, and then boom, the machine's going. It's like a big train that just starts to take off, but when it gets momentum, it's going. You know,
right? And you know, the funny thing about it is that you can offset some of the spend by having top-notch producers, right? So if you have a top-notch producer, they can go and you're spending $3,000 and they're producing $50,000 or $60,000, right? But guess what happens when that person leaves, right? Then you're like, oh, what happened? You know, because I was spending like $2,000 a month on marketing and writing roughly $70,000 in premium before I did any marketing. And it was because I had a really strong closer and she was phenomenal. I mean, she did great. But when she left, I said, I'm never going to go through this again. And so I all made it about marketing, 100% about marketing and training my staff on how to close deals. And once we did those two things, I'm confident today. I love my staff, but if one leaves, I think we won't lose any actual, we're not going to have a down month just because we lost one person.
Sure.
Right?
And you're always looking, right?
Always looking. Yeah. I just hired a girl. She brought a resume into the office. I never do it, but I interviewed her. She had experience with, the company that has that red in it that we're competitors against. And so,
you can say their name.
Oh, I can't. So yeah, she was bilingual. I have huge need for that in my area. 7 years experience. Asked her where she dropped her resume off. She said 2 or 3 other agencies down the road. I made the offer 5 minutes later and had her in my office 2 days later. Started.
Nice.
Exactly.
Good salesperson.
That's right. And I said, I'm not going to let this one get away. I didn't need a person. But I said, you know what, I'm going to make this work. And we did. So, and my thing is, I'd rather have more marketing and less people because I can always offset the people with other staff in my office too. Because I have a couple service people that could fill in for sales. But I'd rather spend the money on marketing because guess what? If you're getting fed people that call in, that want leads or want insurance, then you're more likely wanting to pick up that phone because you know what's going to happen, right?
Yep.
So, exactly. So,
but I was going to say we're up against the wire, huh? But I was going to say there's a few questions that in the group that people are curious about. We'll go with the top one, which is what is your best marketing technique? Could you just real quickly go over what your process is on that, if you don't mind?
No, it's fine. So we do direct mail and we do it 100% based off of targeting X dates through 3 or 4 different vendors. And basically, we do it twice a week in my office. It's 100% bulk mail. My goal is to get out more, spend less on the actual materials in it. People are looking for the lowest price quote that's out there.
And that's it. So what does that postcard look like?
It's actually we tried postcards. I spent about 10 grand and got 2 calls off of it. So that was a bad investment. So it's actually a full-fledged quote, homeowner's quote, with a cover letter that is talks about public record. So just basically saying that, hey, we got this information from public record, send it out. Good responses on it.
So you eliminated the creepiness factor.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it's all about, is try to take away that one, where did you get that information? And we have a lot of success off of that.
Did you see a tick up when you did that?
I've always done that. Actually, believe it or not, for the last 3 years, we've always done that. One of the vendors recommended it. So we actually do that with every vendor we use.
That's awesome. And what is the how much does it cost to send out a letter for you?
So basically, if you were to say, Jason, Rudy, can you send them out for me? It's 43 cents a mailer. That's everything in. So that's what it basically costs.
And what percentage
Rudy,
close?
Percentage close.
Sorry.
Okay. So 2018, we were around like 22%. 2019, 16%. And 2020, close to 12%. So why is that happening, Craig?
Why is it dropping?
Yeah.
Because you're spending more, and
No.
you higher volume.
No.
Dang it.
Jason.
Saturate. More people are doing it.
Exactly. So there's 2 things that are happening. So basically, I'm hitting the same people over, but I'm also coming against 12 other agents that we all represent the same company, because when they get that mailer in, it's all about timing. So who determines on what time they open up that mail? So now I come out and say, man, I'm still hitting on direct mail, and we get all these agents that are excited because Craig and Jason are the insurance dudes. They're pimping me, and everything's good, right? So now we got 5 more players in the market, right? So
Yeah.
But he who remains consistent will win too. Right.
Exactly.
You're not going to stop doing it. They're going to do it and not get as great of a result and give up. So
you're right.
Yeah.
Rudy,
Jason.
thank you so much for.
Well, I gotta congratulate you, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, best in company. Mr.
Boy,
Jason.
I actually should be taking pointers right now, Craig. What do you think?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. If you want to get into the leads, but you have your lane. I don't know, man. It's working.
It works. That's the best thing, actually. Honestly, 2 best things is that working with other agents that are so open. I've never been with a company that have been as open as the company that we work with. It's really good. And then the second thing is we can all do it 100 different ways and still get results, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, stick to the fundamentals, track and measure, and don't give up after a week. I mean,
yeah. So you guys going to be in Vegas?
Yes.
Well, someone has to go up. Someone has to go up on stage, man.
Yeah.
Are you going to rock
an insurance dude's jacket?
Are you going to rock the jeans, or are you going to go full-fledged, 5-piece suit? Tux, what's it going to be, man? I want to know the gear. Come on.
Like a Snoop Dogg suit with insurance dudes all over it.
I want to do jeans so bad. I'm not a suit guy.
It's been done, man. Every time. Yeah. So
I might do it.
Do it, man.
Well, Rudy,
no
thank
tie.
you, man. How can somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to have mailers sent, or if you're even taking people?
In the show notes or whatever, we'll just put Rudy at oakhillins.com.
Okay.
So you have that email too, I think, Craig. So
I do. Rudy at oakhillins.com.
You know why that's Oak Hill Insurance?
Yes.
That's the street address of my agency, man. I'm so creative. So
nice. Hey, that's an awesome name.
And you can send Rudy a letter in the mail if you like. And we
will open it. That's right.
You'll get
Thank you guys.
100% open rate.
Yeah. There you go, man.
Nice talking with you guys.
so
Take care.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for all you do.
Thanks.
Catch you later.
Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah. Bye.
Have a good one.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.